Welcome back, everyone. I'm Noel Cuarezma with Soaring High Marketing Solutions. This is the Soaring High Podcast. I got a great guest for you guys here. I've got Robert Duran out there in Texas. He is a 10x sales coach. He's a business coach. He can help you grow your business. So I invited him on today's show so we can dive in deeper into what he does, how he helps growth, and let's settle the debate, between sales and marketing, and then we can take it from there. But Robert, introduce yourself, let us know who you are, what you do, and what we can take away from you today.
Absolutely. So, hello, guys. My name is Robert Duran. I'm here in Austin, Texas. I am a founder of an agency called BNG. And about 5.5 years ago, we brought in the 10X business program as I started to see a lot of members, including myself, were struggling in the closing and negotiations. So yeah, been with Grant for as a client over 6.5 years. As a coach, I continue to play at the top ranks, and every has their specialty. People normally hire us to teach them or their team how to close the deal, how to make the money, how to prevent the stalls and all those delays, and just make more money for everybody. So that's our niche when it comes to the sales coaching.
Awesome. And have you found like a specific like industry niche? You guys just deal more like with roofers, as insurance agents. What would be like your specialty in that department?
So about 80% are blue collar. So we do work with roofers, electricians, contractors are very big. And then I want to say the other 20 are just business professionals. So payroll, financial services, insurance. And I want to say that's our pretty good realm. I do have some realtors, but that's not our main focus. Usually, I want to
Mhm.
say the contractors are they love us. Let's just say.
No, for sure. That's the biggest thing, because here on my end, I always say, you maybe help me, define this, but I always say when I speak to business owners about marketing, I think one of the reasons why a lot of them don't market is because they're used to referrals and word of mouth. So that if they were to start marketing, they don't have like a sales process to then handle the leads that are coming in. I mean, that's kind of my way I think, because people like, just word of mouth, they don't want to spend that extra money. So how important do you think it to have like a sales process defined in your business?
Yeah, yeah. So just to piggyback on what you said, in my space, what I've learned with people that don't market, it's one, their think isn't big enough, which, as you know, Grant Cardone talks about it not being big enough, why they need to bring so many leads and deals. And the
Mm-hmm.
second one is that because of a lack of leads, they're not bringing enough cash flow. So now
Mm-hmm.
they're hoping for that organic and referral to help them grow, but in reality, you cannot predict a referral,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it that right there is very important in marketing. Now, once you get your marketing in check, marketing is senior to sales, according to Grant, and now it's like, hey, I've invested this amount of time or I invested this amount of money. Now I need to close the deal, right? Because you've already
Mm-hmm.
put so much energy and money and your life to it that you're going to have a good procedure, a good follow-up system, and your negotiation and closing is going to have to be on point. If not, you're just wasting time. So yes, you do need a very good system afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But it really comes down to your marketing. If your marketing is not on point, it doesn't matter how good your sales is. You ain't got no one to talk to. That's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, exactly. I always equate, marketing to lead generation and sales to lead conversion. Because you can bring all the leads you want and you can handle, but if you can't, like you said, you can't close, you can't negotiate, you can't work people through the presentation, then if you're not closing at the end of the day, how good is the marketing? How good are you if deals are not getting closed? So do you believe sales is something that people are quote unquote born with, or is it something that can be developed with your training?
So when a person needs something bad, they'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of those things where like I got into Grant because I needed it. Now, did I already have a sales background? Yeah, but I still wasn't getting my results that I wanted. So I feel that everybody can learn how to sell, very similar to like everyone can learn how to sing. Some people are more talented, but it's already been proven that if you put in the time and the techniques, anybody can learn how to sing professionally. So that's how I feel about selling. When you put in the time and energy and you need to learn how to do it, you'll figure it out. For some
Mm-hmm.
people, they're going to be a lot slower just because their mind works differently. Maybe they're very analytical, maybe they're very shy. Not saying that they can't do it. I have a client that's very analytical. He sees things completely different. But through our training, we've now taught him how to cold call, how to handle objections, how to continue to push, how to close the deals. And now
Mm-hmm.
that he has that skill and he has an analytical skill, he's able to touch on both sides, right? He's able to talk
Mm-hmm.
to those types of people easier. So that being said, you can be talented, but as long as you put in the time, you can outbeat talent and you could become that salesperson should you want to.
100%. It's kind of combining the talent with the work ethic, with practicing role playing and knowing your craft. So, as entrepreneurs, business owners, do you think it's important for them to master sales, or would you advise if they're kind of struggling, maybe hire a salesperson or maybe a sales team, or is it vital that entrepreneurs themselves, the owner, be the one that can really handle sales?
Yeah, so definitely in our world, we want to make sure that the owner knows what they're doing. So, not saying you
Mm-hmm.
have to master sales, but you do have to understand it because when you're hiring people, I guarantee they're going to get people, applicants that are going to give them a resume and say, "Oh, I have this much sales, this much sales, this much sales,"
Mm-hmm.
and then they don't even know what the hell they're doing. So, when we train the business owner on sales, they can right away filter out that guy's full of it. This guy's going to be a waste of time. This person looks like the real deal. Let's give him a shot. So,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely 100%, I would recommend start learning sales so that way you can figure out who's BSing you. And then also, you
Mm-hmm.
can train the people that you bring in. You can better help them because you see it from their eyes, right? You've been
Mm-hmm.
in their shoes. You know what areas they're struggling in. And then at that point, once you get big enough, then yeah, you're going to have to train someone or maybe find someone that has experience to enhance what you originally started.
Correct, correct. Yes, you kind of want to have like your own experience in the field, so then you can come with more authority when you speak to a salesperson or if you have a sales team underneath you. And I know it's kind of like the S word that people hate sales, they hate salespeople. What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about sales and selling?
There's two. One of them is the stigma of a used car salesman, a
Mm.
50s US car salesman. In my head, I'm thinking you weren't even born in the 50s. Like, how would you even know? That's the
Correct,
first
yeah.
one. And then the other one is we live in a world, Noel, that it is frowned upon to be in selling. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
like you couldn't afford to get a real job. You didn't go to college. You should be focusing on a salary base. So it's frowned upon for people to be salespeople in this world. I'm left-handed. We don't live in a left-handed world. We live in a right. Oh, you too? That's
Yeah.
funny. We live in a right-handed world, right? So it's the same thing. We live in a world where we're brainwashed to think that you need a job and security in order to survive. So
Mm-hmm.
that creates a stigma when people find out you're in sales. In their head, they're thinking, "Oh, they're just trying to sell me. They're lower than me, or they're just in it for the money," type of deal. So there's a few reasons why a person wouldn't like a salesperson. I want to
Mm.
say the media and definitely society has created something. But I'll be honest with you, most people, I'm not putting down salary people, but salary people are in sales because if they're not producing, they ain't going to keep their job, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a loan saying,
Correct.
hey, if you do your job properly, I'll pay you. But once you don't, I can't pay you no more. So salary is a form of sales,
Mm-hmm.
commission wise.
Correct. Exactly. There's different forms of selling, different forms of commission. Because even as an entrepreneur, you got to sell the vision, the business plan. You've got to sell your employees. You've got to sell your customers. So there is, yeah, different forms of selling, which we can, which I learned about in the book, Sell or Be Sold. So there's definitely, room for growth on that. So I know you mentioned it earlier. You did mention that marketing is senior to sales. If we can kind of go back to that and say, why would you? Has your mindset shifted on that? Did you think selling was senior to say to marketing, or have you always thought marketing is senior to sales?
So I got into Grant Cardone because I needed sales. Like I was spending so much time on these demos and stuff, and it wasn't converting. I was only able to close low hanging fruit. So I got in because I just needed to convert more. Now that I've been a part of the 10X program for a while and learned, I understand how people buy.
Hmm.
And people love to buy things. People
Mm-hmm.
love to spend money they don't have. People love to just instant gratification. So that's just unfortunately how most people live. So that's why there's so much marketing. They're just constantly just blowing up so much marketing because people are constantly doing this, right, on their phone, on their feed, and then they're just constantly buying, buying, buying. So what I've learned is people love to buy.
Mm-hmm.
There's an abundance of money circulating. People like to have things fast. So why not market more? Because it's something that our mind how we buy things. It's just constant impressions over and over and over again till finally we just buy something. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
marketing is senior to sales, and it's very important that we push to become omnipresent because again, people are always buying things. People are always getting themselves into debt for these things. So I'm very very big into marketing is senior to selling and why it's so important to get your name out, get your message, get your services, get these types of podcasting. Just find a way to find someone that's looking for your service because there's a lot of people looking for the service, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Correct.
100% man, marketing is senior to sales.
Yeah, 'cause I think especially going to come up with if you're just getting into sales, I think you kind of want to have more leads or like more people, more opportunities, more people to talk to kind of be able to practice and get better at it. Because if you've got only 10 people that you're working compared to 100, your learning curve is going to think be a lot more slower if you just get through the opportunities and get through the repetitions that you need to get better at selling and sales.
Yeah, and the
So,
marketing is it's one to many, and that's something that I learned probably like my third year as a coach. I started to really just understand like, hey, one to one's cool, but one to many, it's a numbers game. And when you
mhm,
have that many numbers, you can capture more leads and close more deals faster, especially if you're really good at selling or closing the deal.
mhm,
And that's a whole other conversation. Selling, anyone can sell. Not everyone
mhm,
can close, right?
mm.
So it's closing the deal on that. But yeah,
So,
one to many in marketing for sure.
so you say there's a science and an art to it. So you're setting sales and closing now. So which is the science, which is the art form, would you say?
So sales is an art, it's a technique, and it's a skill. I'm going to repeat that. Selling is an art, it's a technique, and it's a skill. That's my wife. She helps us out over here at the office. Um, they say hello. The the three pillars that we focus on is selling, negotiation, and
Hmm.
closing.
Mm-hmm.
Most people know how to sell. It's naturally in our blood. to want to sell. It's like, oh my God, you got to try the shake. I don't want it. Please, please just try it. You're gonna love it. All right, it was great. Right, it was great. Sell it.
Mm-hmm.
A dog can sell. Ruff, ruff, ruff. No. Ruff, ruff, ruff. No. Ruff, ruff. Okay, here. Here, you can have some. A little kid, mommy, mommy, right? Anyone knows how
Mm-hmm.
to sell, but it's when they say no or not right now or let me think about it. That is a skill and technique because most of us are brought up. Our parents tell us, don't be rude, don't speak unless you're spoken to. Um, Let the grown-ups talk. You don't ask for people's of their finances. You don't talk about money. And
Mm-hmm.
because of that programming as a kid, as we get older, that's one of the missing links in negotiation. So when somebody says not right now, you're thinking as a kid, well, okay, I don't want to be rude. I don't want to ask again because that's what your parents said. And the negotiation is, hey, I understand not right now, but we did set up the meeting for a reason. What's the real reason why we're not moving forward? Right. So
Mm-hmm.
that is the negotiations. And then closing.
Mm-hmm.
Closing is a whole different thing. Once you've negotiated the deal, now it's you're burning the ships. You're literally going all in. You have all the data, and now you're like, hey, I understand you want to think about it. And then say one of the think about it closes that Grant has, right? He has over 150 plus closes on the think
Mm-hmm.
about it, right? So that's what we train. Selling, which is definitely more of the marketing aspect. You're selling them, right? Hey, we've got this and this and this. And as soon as they like or comment, now you're
Mm-hmm.
in the sales mode. Now you're trying to get them into a demo or something. And then you lead them to negotiations and then the close,
Mm-hmm.
right? So those are the three areas that Grant has taught me. Where before I thought selling was just you talk, you elaborate, you motivate, cross your fingers, hope they say yes. If they didn't, oh, why? And then do it again. You laugh because you know
Exactly.
it's true, right? You've been there too. I'm pretty sure.
Yep, yep.
Those days, I don't miss them.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. Because I think I always say the two biggest skills that any entrepreneur, any business owner needs to master is sales and marketing. I think is not, per topic, reasons we like to kind of see which is better, senior to the other one, but I think they both work hand in hand. And yeah, selling just gets into multiple layers when you talk about negotiating, closing, and then there's so much that we can talk to about that. But before you started your agency, what were you doing? What were you studying before you started your agency and came into grants programs?
Yeah, so I was doing a networking events. I
Okay.
was throwing networking events. I joined a BNI about 12 years ago. I liked it. I
Mm-hmm.
just, as an entrepreneur, I said, "Oh, I think I could do my own." So I was selling memberships, um,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just gather people together, and that's how I was making my money. But through that, I was again only closing 10%. I wasn't able to, I didn't know how to negotiate and close yet. So that's when I fell into Grant and started applying a lot of his things. And
Mm-hmm.
I was telling the members, hey, dude, this thing's amazing. So they started buying from Grant. And I said, wait, hold on, hold on. There's an opportunity there. I wasn't a coach yet. I was a
Mm-hmm.
customer, and I saw the opportunity. I said, "Well, you know what? If I become a coach, I can show them, and then monetize my membership, and then also offer 10x coaching." So that was
Mm-hmm.
5.5 years ago, but that's how it started off. I was failing. I needed help. I started to use it, apply it. It started to work, and then I monetized it. And right now, the 10x side is more profitable right now um, than our networking group. But right now
Mm-hmm.
we're working on a software where we're merging everything together to where
Mm-hmm.
it's a seamless flow to it. So our networking side, I predict, will surpass, even though it's tied in, it will surpass our coaching because this one's a lot more scalable, faster. But there's a huge
Mm-hmm.
need for this. But it was
Mm-hmm.
through doing it through repetition that I started to see little gaps, and I'm like, ooh, there's something that people need. Let's create something and sell it and help more
Mm-hmm.
people along the way. But
Correct,
yeah,
correct.
that's what I was doing, the networking side.
Mm,
I've always been an
mm,
entrepreneur. Um, I remember uh, third grade, I was selling like bracelets. Fourth grade, I was selling Mexican candies
mm,
with my classmates. I would buy Little Debbie's. Back then, they were $1 for a
mm,
box, and I was selling them 25 cents a pop. I was always just finding ways. Bootlegged movies. My father taught me how to record, so I'm like, damn, if you put two VCRs together and you rent one, man, I didn't know what bootlegging was. I didn't know what entrepreneur was. All I knew is people are buying this. How do I get my cut? So
mm,
it's always been like that. Um, 19, I had a kiosk at the mall. Again, I was working at Charlotte Russe, a female
mm.
store. I was there because I was young, good looking. I said, "Man, where are all the females at? They'll come to me, right?"
Yeah,
And
yeah.
one of the guys that was working there, he had gone to Los Angeles and he purchased an LED belt buckle in the early
Mm,
2000s. And I'm like, "Dude, where'd you get that?" And he told me. And no one else was selling it in the city. So I looked on eBay and I bought a stack. I don't know how much it was, like $500 or something. And I was selling them at $100 a pop. I would go to the club and just have them like, dude, people would just pay me. So
mm-hmm,
right away, my instinct came in and said, man, I could make money doing this. So literally about 6 months later, I had a kiosk at the mall and I was just slanging them. I was the only
mm,
one until everyone else started to come in, but it was just spotting the opportunity and then turning it into revenue on that.
mm-hmm,
That was 19, yeah, 19. So I've always been entrepreneurial, but I
mm-hmm,
didn't know true business until I got into the 10X world.
mm-hmm.
Grant has really helped me out and just finding how the big dogs are doing it, not the little small time hustlers, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. Yeah. I think my learning with through Grant and learning, from I'm not a part of the 10X program. People always ask me if I'm a 10X coach. They see me, immersed in the content. But yeah, I've been able to kind of learn, yeah, sales, marketing, business, and just be able to expand in that way. I think we're gonna have a lot of similarities. I think every entrepreneur gets into it as a kid, like selling candy, selling some movies or CDs. I think that's kind of all of our starting points. But I know you mentioned about the
The CDs.
networking. Yeah, I was selling CDs on the streets. I was going up to people. It was actually I had a band with my brother and my family. So I was out there hustling, grinding, selling CDs, person to person. So that was kind of like my on
Let's
the
go.
in the field sales, sales training, I'd say. I got more real life experience, and then actually I found Grant and kind of learned an actual system and process to it. And I was a president for BNI. I was a chapter president. I was involved in BNI for 4 years, president for two. And one thing I've kind of seen, like whether there's BNI or a Chamber of Commerce meeting or a networking meeting, is that a lot of people try to just go there to sell the people on their services instead of, trying to sell through the members. Like, how can I tap into your network, your audience? How can I get the collaboration? So, what do you think, makes a good networker in that aspect? Is it try to sell everybody in the room or try to be able to leverage relationships and partnerships with people in the room? What's a common mistake you see people make when it comes to now in the networking space?
So I felt guilty in not knowing the difference between a one-on-one and a demo. So
Mm-hmm.
for the new person, um, it would be nice if someone just kind of told you, or at least told me, but that's very common. And just
Mm-hmm.
setting the right expectations, not assuming, and just saying, "Hey, one-on-ones are for more collaborative, and and the demos is something different." So, um, it I understand, and if you're hearing this and you've done that, you're forgiven. You now know, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not what relationship marketing is about. Relationship marketing is what it says. It's about relationship. Now, one of the big mistakes that I see though is just because you're in a relationship marketing doesn't mean they're not going to buy from you. So,
Hmm.
unfortunately, and I'm being honest, a lot of people are doing business with me because I approach them and they're a part of a group and they're not even buying from the person that's a part of the group. Why? Because they never asked. So,
Hmm.
at least if they're interested. And if they're
Hmm.
not, ask to tap into their network, right?
Hmm.
But don't lose business trying to build the relationship for 6 months or a year and never asking if they're interested in buying your services because I guarantee they're going to buy from someone else and
Hmm.
it sucks. It really
Hmm.
does.
Yeah.
So it's important to just ask really good questions. Ask them if they'd be interested in your services. They are great. If they are not or they don't buy from you, it's okay. They have a
Hmm.
phone filled with people.
Hmm.
And how do you tap into them? That's the goal. Tap into their warm network. But
Hmm.
yeah, to answer your question, it, it it's more important to tap into their network, but they will have more conviction if they're buying your product.
Correct. Yeah. Because then they've gone through the experience. They actually have, time in it, invested with you and all that. So money invested, of course, within it. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is don't assume, but ask. I think many people just assume, oh, they know what I do, or they know the industry I'm in. If they need me, then they'll call me. But like you said, if you don't ask, you don't get that sale, you don't get that close, you don't get that relationship moving in a different direction now, which is now having them be an actual client of yours. So I think asking, I think many people have trouble with just making that simple ask.
Yeah, just ask them, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But yeah, those are things in my networking group that I teach to my members because they are part of other groups. And I'm like, have you tapped into these
Mm-hmm.
people? No, but they know what I do. I'm like, have you asked them? No. And I'm like, ask them. And a lot of them
Exactly.
come back and be like, hey, they bought from me. They were just waiting for me to ask. Or like they kind of not pressured them, but because they asked, they were just waiting
Mm-hmm.
for that. They're like, all right, yeah, yeah, I've been meaning to. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just ask them. Especially if you see them every week for an hour or 2 hours. Like, you
Exactly.
know,
Yeah, you gotta go for
don't
it.
make
Yeah,
it
you gotta
awkward.
go.
Well, we're not kindergarten no more, man. How old are you, Noel?
I'm 33.
33. Man, that's a good number right there. Let's
Yeah.
go. Yeah,
Like,
man.
yeah.
I wish I had this knowledge, or you have way more knowledge than I do when I was 33. That's
Mm.
for sure. Yeah, man. How old was I? I well, what's I'm 41
Mm.
now,
Okay, so we're 8 years difference.
and
So you were
then
born in 90, 85?
when I did Grant, yeah, 85. So I learned more
Okay.
about Grant. I got into the program around 35.
Okay.
Um, I knew of Grant, but I was just following him for motivation. I had already
Hmm.
done some training, but nothing like Grant. So
Hmm.
you're knowledge wise and you're way ahead of me knowledge wise. So damn man, I wish I was your age. That
Thank you.
advanced for sure. Yeah, I didn't tap into Grant since 35.
Appreciate that. Appreciate it. Yeah, we all come, like I said, yeah, I think I got introduced to him. I think someone was posting on Facebook, his quotes and stuff like that. Okay, that seems pretty good. But like you said, then I'm like, okay, I was doing marketing, I did a bit of real estate. I'm like, how do I handle this thing called the cold call? Everybody hates it, everybody drags it. It's okay, how do I get better at making cold calls? So that's how I was able to then go on YouTube, find Grant, and then that's kind of what opened up the whole 10x world, to me. So, any tips on making cold calls? I know it's part of business. It's kind of like I call it more of like an active prospecting, active marketing. A lot of us like to do passive marketing with like, let me just post on Instagram, let me run an ad. But even when you run the ad, you get calls coming in. You still got to call them back when the lead comes in. So everybody hates making the cold call, but I know it's a great way to build your business, to be able to, fill up the pipeline. So those people out there that are watching, that are listening, and they hate making those cold calls, What type of tips, motivation would you give them to help them, get into picking up the phone, like, the Wolf of Wall Street, pick up the phone and start dialing. How do you get people to start making that change in their business?
Yeah, so the first one is definitely the commitment. You have to commit to saying I'm going to master this thing called the cold call. Um, the second thing is the script. You need a script. If you're winging it, it's not consistent, it's not scalable. Um, it's going to be very like you're going to drain yourself talking because you're probably rambling too much. A script just says what you need to say and it gets straight to the point.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely that. And then committing to it. Whatever amount of calls you're supposed to do it consistently. And what's going to happen is you're going to start to find your average. You're going to say, oh, for every this many calls, I get this many appointments. From this many appointments, I get this many demos. From this many demos, I normally get this many deals. So now you have predictability. You now know for every, I don't know, 10 calls, you get three appointments and you close one deal. Then if you need four, then you have the math. The math is the path, Grant says.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely committing first. Everyone has a cell phone. Everyone's on it. They're glued to it. Having a script, like I mentioned, was the second one. And then just tracking the data. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I have clients that we teach them from scratch, and you're going to get better over time. Um, and I'll be honest, getting into one of the programs, um, like we have a program, and we actually help you create the scripts. So this is my script book. I got scripts for everything that I
Wow.
sell. Like I don't wing it. I have more over here, right? That these are more my closings. Sometimes I have to use them.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Agree, assure, transition. Like I always have it in front of me. All my clients have this. So having a good script, practicing it every day, practicing your closes every day, is going
Mm-hmm.
to make it easier. But yeah, I am a huge advocate for cold calls. We close more
Mm-hmm.
deals over the phone than we do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Before this call, we were actually, so this person was from a cold call and he's up for renewal. Um, 3 months, I think he's invested with us, I don't know, like 15K. And now
Mm-hmm.
he's up for another potentially 11,000 in such a like in 4 months, which
Mm-hmm.
is not bad. But it all came
Mm-hmm.
from this. So you're talking about, about a good couple of $1,000 just from knowing how to use the phone. And then you do it over and over and over and over and over again. Very powerful. I'm a big
Mm-hmm.
advocate for cold calling. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now you bring up the phone is one thing that we say that, we use their phone for everything. We have a bunch of different apps on there, or social media, internet, email. But the one app that we barely use that can make us the most money is the phone app.
Oh, bro, the phone. Um,
So,
I, yeah, when I'm using my cell phone, I have this bad boy right here.
oh yeah, I got one of those. Yeah, I connect it to my phone and I used to,
Yeah, bro, all day. If I'm
yep.
using if they don't answer me, I'll connect my systemized intelligence, which is a
Mm-hmm.
white label of high level, and then
Oh,
I'll
okay.
just call them from here. Same thing. Get the cold
Mm-hmm.
call, all that good stuff.
Get it. So before I get you out of here, because I know we have a hard pause, but I know the big trend right now is AI. How do I use AI in my business? So how do you see AI changing sales? And everybody's worried about AI is coming to replace jobs, coming to replace marketers. Do you see AI replacing salespeople at some point in the future?
Not necessarily like the closers.
Hmm.
I know the automations to get appointments is going to get better. Any type of like customer service, but for the closing, remember I mentioned selling,
Hmm.
negotiation, closing. The selling, I think AI is going to do, or it's already doing amazing. It's fast, it's fluid. You got Claude and Chat and doing all these things. But the negotiation, one, the technology is not there, and I don't necessarily see how a robot is going to be able to handle those objections and for the human to actually take it, um, like take them seriously. If anything, they might send a complaint type of deal like,
Hmm.
hey, I didn't like your AI. They couldn't say no. And I try getting off and they call me back. Like, I can't picture
Hmm.
that. Right.
Hmm.
So a true sales professional negotiator knows how to do that. And
Hmm.
we know how to do it authentically, professionally, and we have the right intention. People can feel it, right? Have you ever
Hmm.
closed someone or a deal and you say something and you get goosebumps because you can feel that something clicked and what they're telling you is
Hmm.
the truth and there's a special bond there that happens.
Hmm.
And you just feel and you're like, you know what? Let's make it happen. It feels really good. I'm ready. AI
Hmm.
doesn't have that. At least I don't
Hmm.
see it. So for the closers, no, we're good. If anything, we're more valuable at this point. We're kind of
Correct.
like the HEB people with all the checkouts, right? It's all
Hmm.
automated, but they have one checkout person that helps out when they have problems. That's going to
Yeah.
be us closers. They're going to have all these areas. It's like, Robert, hey, we need another close. Great, let's go. So
Hmm.
in my industry, I'm good. We're good. For everyone else, I don't know, man. I don't know, but I can't speak for my profession that, yeah, man, negotiation and closing, AI can't touch
Never,
us. AI
for
can't touch us.
sure. Especially how AI, like ChatGPT agrees with everything you say, So if you're don't want to sell, he's gonna say, okay, yeah, no sale is gonna be made. So
All you
you
have to do is
definitely
type stop. It's like, stop selling me. And then that's it. Compliant issue, right?
exactly.
I don't know.
So,
I can't say the same. I'm gonna
okay.
push for the close if I truly feel that it's gonna help you, but
Mm-hmm.
also do it for the right intentions because I was there. I struggled. I almost lost my relationship because I couldn't sell or close. So if I truly feel I can help the person and they're just scared or worried, I'm going to try my
Mm-hmm.
best to help them. It's the sale's not for me, it's for them,
Correct, correct.
right? And that's something we teach in the 10X world.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Robert, for your time. So if people that are watching, they want to be able to connect with you. Where can they find you? How can they get in touch with you? How can they learn more about your coaching and how you can step into their business? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so definitely Facebook is good. I didn't have my panhandles ready. Facebook.com/ Robert Alfonso Duran. That's right, Robert Alfonso Duran. And then the Instagram, let me pull that up. I always confuse it with my TikTok one, but um,
For sure.
Mr. Robert Duran is my Instagram. Those are the best ways to get a hold of me.
Okay,
Um,
perfect. And that way
or
you
you
can set up a
can
call with you and then be able to kind of like, get like a strategy session with you or a strategy call to see what's the next step that they can take with you.
correct. Yeah, so we have limited strategy calls. Um, but we open up a few slots during the week to help a business owner that maybe has a bottleneck or just needs more clarity. That's all that's keeping
Mm-hmm.
you away from hitting your goals, guys, is a lack of data. My
Hmm.
job as a coach is to show you what's missing, add clarity, and then from there you're like, "Oh, okay, now I know what to do." So
Mm-hmm.
that's what the strategy is about. We keep it short right away. How long you been in business? How much did you make last year? What's your focus? Right away, those three questions give me a really good idea of what's going on. And
Hmm.
then I could start to figure out where the bottleneck is. But it's already, Grant has already paved the way. We're not guessing. There's steps that we follow. And depending on where you're at, I look and be like, look, you have 5 out of the 10 steps. Once we
Hmm.
fix those other five, you're going to level up, you're going to make more
Hmm.
money, right? So we just eliminate the guessing game and just show
Hmm.
what Grant has done and we just apply it to your business. So yeah, just hit me up, Mr. Robert Duran and Instagram, And I'll send you a link and you can schedule your strategy call.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, I'll make sure I put it in the show notes as well. But thank you, Robert. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, let's stay connected and let's keep on, 10xing and let's get to that next level.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Noel. Thank you guys. Have a
Uh,
10x day. Bye bye.
Bye.